Hello, folks. It's Steve Gooch here again with another Ministry Moments, this time number 32. And I want to tell you about someone I read about this week called Daniel, who had an evangelistic conversation with someone very important, someone with great influence called Nebu, unusual name. But Nebu had a bad dream and he wanted someone to help him understand it. So he got his cabinet together and basically said to them, you need to help me get to understand this dream. Now, Daniel was a member of one of his cabinets and thought that he could help. And Nebu asked Daniel, are you able to tell me what I saw in my dream and interpret it? And Daniel replied, no wise man, enchanter, musician, or diviner can explain it, but there's a God in heaven who reveals mysteries. He has shown you in your dream what will happen in days to come. Now, your dream and visions that passed through your mind as you were lying in bed were these. And Daniel went on to explain to Nebu the meaning of his dream. And in doing so, he turned the conversation to God. And I just love the way in which Daniel witnessed to God's power to interpret dreams, God's worldwide influence as the God in heaven and not earth, and God's knowledge of the future. It was a great risk to Daniel because Nebu had actually said that if anybody can't, if his captain can't explain it, they're all going to get booted out. They're all going to lose their jobs. And Daniel took that risk. But he trusted God. And he began his speech by testifying to God, the source of his information. It's terrific. I wonder if you recognise the story. The October issue of Southern Cross is found in the online, or click on the email. And there's a wonderful article by Mark, who lectures at Moore College, and he quotes the writer to the Hebrews in the New Testament, who says, consider how to spur one another on towards love and good deeds, and don't neglect to meet together because some have got into the habit of doing that. And that got me thinking about, or him thinking about, the success of the online technology, how good it is and how thankful we are for it all. He says, we've got a breakout group in my church, and in that group I get to talk to all sorts of people I don't normally get to talk to. And so he's really, really grateful. But he goes on to say, even though I rejoice at the very prospect of that and give thanks for all the technology, it's not meant to be the way it is permanently. Because we're meant to be together. In fact, he says, it's only natural that we belong together. And so it's only natural that we should long to return to physical gatherings as soon as possible because we're social creatures. God has made us as relational people. We're made for other person-centered love, following the example of our Lord Jesus. And he says, wherever the gospel has taken hold in the hearts of people, they've gathered together, sometimes even in secret. Now, these online provisions that we've got are great, but they're only an emergency provision. They're good for the time being. And hopefully that emergency will soon be over. And in fact, may God speed the day when we don't need any of that. But in the meantime, he says, we all need to get back to church so we can see each other. And I can't agree more. There's a whole lot of people who've gone back to church, but there's still plenty who haven't. And the ones who are going back, they're really missing those who haven't come back yet. Well, one of our members was having a meal at the club with some of the fathers of his sports team this week, when one of the fathers turns to him and says, look, I'm trying to work out where to send my kids next year, and I could send them to a private school or a public school, but you send your kids to a private school, don't you, a Christian school? He said, yeah, that's right. He said, well, why do you do that? And with all eyes on him, he said to all the dads there, we wanted a school with a good academic record, but we wanted a school with a Christian reputation where Christianity is taught and Christianity is modelled. So two things were important to us, but we wanted our kids to do well educationally, but the most important thing for us was to have kids who grow up Christian and who turn out Christian. That's what really mattered. Well, whether you prefer public or private education is not the point here. The point is, he spoke up for Christ. publicly. And I just thought that was terrific. Well, you remember the Royal Commission last year into child protection, and the way in which this year all the denominations across Sydney have had to adopt new measures to increase and improve child protection. Well, our diocese is now implementing those procedures, and we've got to the stage now in the second half of this year where all the parishes, including ours, have to adopt 2 new standards. Now, the aim of it is to make sure the kids are safe when they come to church or do any kind of church activities. And I know that these standards are sometimes a little bit inconvenient for us, but remember the aim. It's to protect kids. And they're worth it, aren't they? The 2 standards are these. First of all, we've all got to do a questionnaire. Those working with children have to do a questionnaire. And the questionnaire is there to filter out those who've got major struggles with drugs or sex or alcohol at the moment. Because we think they're probably not the right people at the moment to be teaching children in Sunday school or wherever it is. So the questionnaire tries to highlight those for those people and to be able to maybe help them to step aside for a while they work out things. 2 things. The second thing is that those questionnaires will be stored permanently, but they'll be stored very securely, encrypted and all the rest so that nobody else can look at them. So they're confidential questionnaires. And the second standard was that they have to be stored permanently. We've already got the questionnaire ready and the secure location is set up, so all we need to do is to get people to do the questionnaire, and they'll be available to everyone in our parish from November 1, and everyone has to complete it by January 1 or next year. They won't be able to do any children's ministry in our church, which would be really sad. So we hope that everyone will complete it by January 1. May God honour these efforts to protect our precious children. And if you've got any questions, then please let me know or contact her. Please remember in prayer Maury, who is in an aged care facility now, and of course so is Lynn Ramsey. But this week, particularly remember their wives who have gone through great battles to let their husbands go into this kind of care. After being married for 60 or more years for each couple, they've now separated and it's really traumatic for them. Plus the wives are feeling guilty for what's happened, and just pray that they'd be patient and continue to trust God. And we really hope that their loved ones, their families and their friends, especially their church friends, can look after them.